The Dice Odyssey! Hey there folks, welcome to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and I got a question for you. Are you somebody who likes good smelling, flavorful food? You know, the kind where you're like, you know, in the room next door and there's the kitchen and somebody's cooking in there and they're adding all sorts of herbs and spices like bay leaves and sage and basil and so on and so forth. Are you that kind of person? Now, if you answered in the negative, you know you're fibbing. Who can't turn that kind of stuff down? But if you answered in the positive, you know I'm making you hungry. Think of steak, lobster, mashed potatoes, butter, sour cream. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I'm about to stop this review and go eat. But anyway, if you're that kind of person that likes those flavors, you might like Herbaceous. Herbaceous is a game from Pencil First Games. It's a 1 to 4 player game, and it's also kind of a set collection, push your luck style game. It's basically all you're doing is going and growing herbs out in a garden and taking them and potting them. And it's pretty much the entire theme. If you're somebody who has a green thumb but doesn't want to go through the hard work of trying to, do that, then this game might be for you. Let me go ahead and get you over to the table, show you how it plays, and I'll give you my final thoughts. But until then, enjoy the herbs. As you can see, I've already got a little bit of it already set up. I'm going to show you how to set up real quick. This is going to be what you would call your community garden area. This is going to be your private garden area underneath these 4 potting areas, okay? You're going to receive one of these to designate your private garden. That's where your own private stash of herbs are going to go. You're going to get 4 different potting plant areas, okay? And this is going to be designated by the color that you choose on the back. So, like, for example, if you're the red player, this background would be red. But for me, because I like the color of my wife's eyes, it's going to be green. Now, one thing in particular, you're going to have 4 different types, okay? You're going to have 4 different types. For example, this one says that you can do special herbs plus bonus points, okay? This is a glass jar, so that means, for example, you can do, for example, these 2 and 3 herbs. You can put those in, and what it's saying with the special points, you see that little question mark with the circle around it. Well, it's saying anything that has special points on it, those are going to count as extra points at the end of the game. So if you pot this, that's pretty cool. And the nice thing is, if you're able to pot 1, 2, and 3 specifically, you'll be able to get the herb biscuit, which is worth 5 extra points at the end of the game. Okay, so that's something you might want to go for. All right, so now, if you also look, this one's saying, hey, I want, however many of the same type. And so if you notice, the more cards that you put in, the more points you get. So if you get 7 of the exact same type, say, 7 rosemary or 7 bay leaves or something like that, then this score goes up exponentially, okay? So that's what that potting area is going to do. You also have these other 2 here that do it in pairs. Now, you have to get 2 pairs. So for example, if you're going to do rosemary, it's saying, hey, if you get these 2, you'll score 4 points, right? At the same time, if you get sets, a set of each type, pretty much of each type of herb, all the way up to 12, you get 18 points. And I have seen somebody do that, so it is possible. This one is different types of cards, okay? So for example, if you get 2 different cards, you get 3 points, you get 3 cards, 4 points, on and on and on. So different types, they don't have to match, okay? So that's your 4 potting areas. Now you're also going to have your deck of cards laid out right here, and that's pretty much the setup. Everybody's going to have a very similar setup. Now, let me show you how a typical turn's going to look, okay? So, on your turn, you're simply going to pot herbs or plant, okay? And what you're doing is you're saying, okay, for example, the planting is mandatory. The potting herbs you don't necessarily have to do, but you have to do one or the other on your turn. So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and draw. Hey, look, we got mint. Now, I have a choice. I can either put that in the community garden, and the community garden is going to be for everybody to take from. This is where the tension comes in, because you might actually be giving people points the more stuff that you put out there, especially of multiples, okay? So let's say I want to go ahead and take this, and put it into my private garden. The private garden is where somebody cannot take it from you. You've planted it there. It's yours to own, okay, until you decide to pot one of these. But here's the kicker. The first card you have to draw, you put it in your garden. The second card has to go in the opposite area that you put it in. So in this case, the Michael Bay leaves, as we like to call them, we'll put those in the community garden for anybody to take from, okay? So now that's pretty much how it works. Now let's say the next draw I pull, and I decide to put those in the community garden the very first time on my next turn, but then my second draw, it's going to go into my private garden. Hey, I got 2 mints. That's pretty good. And so now that's pretty much how it works. Now, the way you score is this. Let's say instead of drawing, which would be the plantings phase, now I want to go ahead and pot the herbs. And I can draw from the community garden and the actual private garden and go ahead and pot one of these potting areas. Now, the minute I pot a potting area, I can no longer use that specific potting area. It is done for the game, and we add up the score at the end of the game. So for example, right now, I see, hey, I've got a 1, I've got a 2, and I've got a 3. Now that allows me to go ahead and pot the glass jar if I want to. Now I don't have to have 1, 2, and 3 specifically. I can have any of these numbers. I can have 3 3s if I want to, but very specifically, I'm gonna go ahead and pot that, and now that's gonna get me the herb biscuit. That just looks delectable. It kind of reminds me of a Red Lobster cheesy biscuit. But anyway, that's just me. So that's pretty much how the game plays. Turns are going to keep going on and on and on. People are going to be taking from here, mixing with their community garden, or their private garden, the community garden, and potting all these different plant areas. You're going to be playing until the deck runs out. Okay, and then whatever is left, you're going to go ahead and pot it. You know, just because the deck runs out doesn't mean you don't get to play. Whatever's left in the community or whatever's left in your private garden, as long as you're able to pot, you're able to play, and the turns are going to continue until you're pretty much out of cards and it's impossible to pot anymore. Person with the most points at the end wins. I really like set collection games, which Herbaceous does very well. Now, let's go to the production quality. The production quality is off the charts. I mean, for what it is, the artwork is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love the watercolor look of the herbs and spices. I like the idea, the fact that they didn't actually go with real pictures, because it really makes it pop more. I mean, from anything from the bay leaves, we called them Michael Bay leaves because we were just having fun with it. To the wasting time, I don't know. But anyway, the artwork's really good, and I really like the production quality of the cards. So many games I get, the cards are flimsy at best. It has almost that vinyl feel, or what is it? The linen finish, not vinyl, but it's like the linen finish style cards. I don't know if it's quite that, but it's close, you know. I love the feel of these cards. They're nice to handle. What do I think of the actual mechanics? I like the idea of the choices that's presented. Really, there's not much in the game in terms of choices. You have 1 or 2 things you're going to do. You're either going to, take to your private garden, put in the community garden on one choice, or you're going to pot. You're going to, go to one of those 4 potting areas. And I like that because it's very simple. It's very easy for people to learn. I mean, I had people up and going from my wife when we played 2 players to the 3 or 4 player game with other people. I had people up going within 2 minutes. I mean, it's not a hard game to learn. There are some nice intricacies as you go along. I mean, am I putting too much in the community garden for other people to want to score off of, right? I'm so scared of doing that. But at the same time, I'm also trying to keep some of my private garden, for example, the 1, 2, or 3 cards, the special point cards, I want to keep some of those in my private garden because I want to get that herb biscuit at the end. Save a joke for another time for the herb biscuit. But anyway, I like that idea. And I really like the fact that they've included that herb biscuit in the game, because it's kind of like an in-game scoring feature. It just gives you 1 little extra bonus card to go for. Now, is this a game that I'm going to pull out all the time? No, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. The game in and of itself, it is a very, I hate to say quiet game, but it's a very low-key game. It's a game to make you relax. It's a game to kind of give you almost a Zen-like flavor to it, right? Did my wife like it? Yes, this is a game I'll pull out with her quite a bit. But when it comes to a bigger game group, Some people are going to like this game quite a bit, and some people aren't. I had some people in my game group who really liked it. They even said themselves it's not something that they would probably run to right off the bat, but they liked the game. I mean, they didn't downplay it at all, but there were some that were just like, yeah, it's a good game. I'm just, it's not a fan of the theme, and there's really not much of a theme to it. You're really just, putting cards in front of you and putting them underneath other cards when you pot them. That's it. So ultimately, what do I give this game? I personally would give this game a 7 out of 10. It's got a medium beard rating for me. It's a game that I can pull out. The pros specifically are the artwork. It's a very quick game. I love the brief nature of it. I mean, it doesn't matter what the player count is. I think the 20-minute, I think it says 20-minute time limit on it. I think that's about right, because really, once you get the card deck to run out, everybody gets to go ahead and plant on that final turn and finish. So yeah, it's a good game. It does something different that I like. It's a different kind of theme that I don't see other card games doing. So if you like a game that's quiet, it allows you to, quite frankly, we were able to talk a lot more in this game than we do in other games. There is some thinking involved, and there is that push your luck element where you're hoping to get your sets before somebody else. So yeah, it's firing on all cylinders in all the right ways. But again, I think it's a theme that kind of turns some folks off at my table. But again, my wife and I love it. We think it's great, and we'll play it together anytime. So anyway, thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey videos. I'm Kaz. Have you gotten to play Herbaceous? Do you like set collection, small set collection type games? And if you do, what's your favorite style? This one is definitely going to be one that hits our table occasionally with me and my wife. It's what I would call an occasional game, really. But anyway, let me know down in the comments what you think, and thank you so much. You have a blessed day, and game away.